Hello, can you hear me, sir? Rupa ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, Shubha, you're audible.
Okay. Tanish sir, you're there in the meeting, right?
Hello. Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
let's wait for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Minutes,
It's
let
easy.
the participants also join. We'll start.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for this Day 5 Faculty Development Program. Our today's first session is on the hallucination problem, when and why LLMs generate false information. And the session will be led by Mr. Tanish Kandhar, uh, with whom we had already a very wonderful session in the previous days. Uh, Sir, a very warm welcome to you this session. You can
Good evening. Yeah.
take over the session, sir.
Yes. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Let me set up a few things. Yeah. Just 1 minute.
Sure, sir. Sure.
I'm audible, right? I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity again. It's good to be back. I was actually it was very good to see the feedback of the last session. I was really glad that all of you liked it. We'll try to do something similar in this one also. But the only difference is this topic is relatively the most simplest topic of all that you have been studying for this entire week. Okay, so I believe tomorrow is the last day, isn't it? So for all 6 days, this is going to be the simplest topic because there is no much tech involved over here. Because the tech that is involved, the engineers of LLM themselves, right? Because if you see most of the deep learning models are the black box models, which means that we don't know what they are thinking before they are making any decision, right? If you were to compare deep learning models with machine learning models, so I teach and we work with both machine learning and deep learning models, isn't it? What happens in machine learning models is that they are extremely parameter based models, and the data that we prepare is in such way that we know half of the things about the data already, and the data is not as huge as these, especially LLMs. So the interpretability of the result becomes very, very high in terms of machine learning as compared to the deep learning models, and especially in the case of LLMs, which is completely black box to us. I'll give an example. If I were to use an LLM, Okay, so if I were to create my own social media platform, right? And if I were to be like, okay, I have made, coming 2026 onwards, I have made my policies, privacy policies even strict, okay, and the community guidelines very strict. So the way you comment, what you comment, everything is monitored and by an automated system, which is my AI system. And if you say something malicious or something absurd or something, anything that violates our guidelines, we will, take your account down. That is the problem statement here. And I was the engineer who built that system. Okay, and I use machine learning here. Okay, so when I use machine learning, okay, there is some sense of idea why the AI rejected the comment. Okay, so if the question arises, ki, I didn't do something bad. Okay, like what is the reason? What is the reason that you blocked my account? So we can again send them an automated mail. Ki, okay, this guy he had made this comment and the account was blocked on this date. Now the automated mail will be generated for this summary by also giving a reason that these were the words which were flagged, due to which your account was banned or temporarily shut down or suspended. In case of LLMs, it is not like that. We can't tell anything. We don't have any idea what this guy thought. Okay, we have given it any data, obviously. So it's not like it is very bad. Like if I just comment anything randomly and it will go down. It's not like that. It's just that all the examples I must have given it to while training. Okay, it has to generalize that. So something that must have hurt the sentiment of some people, but it is factually right. Whatever I said might also be a sign that it must have found that it flagged the comment. So this is the idea of being black box. So that's what I wanted to say. Okay, but here, with the great power comes great responsibility, and the great control is that somehow we tend to lose over here. Okay, though we have reinforcement learning with human in loop, right, where we when the model is trained, we give it to the humans who are with the team or with whom we have hired to test this model for, and we let them use it, and we see what is this model speaking, right? So ever if you try to use some gore words with this model, okay, it will like this goes beyond my community guidelines. Okay, so in that way only you can control this model, that you have bought ethics in this AI. So that is the ethical AI part. I hope you have a session in that also. uh, now that ethical part, even if you do contain, right, so it is great that the unethical part it is not giving you, right? But when it comes to the normal talk, the normal text generation that it is supposed to do, there also this model, LLM model, tends to hallucinate. And that's what our topic for today is, right? We'll try to understand what exactly hallucination is, okay? And we'll try to understand that in the context of LLMs. Why does it happen? Before we understand why does it happen, where does it exactly happen, what in what way it affects you, okay? And we'll study why it happens. We'll try to understand the all possible reasons that we know at this point. Okay, there are few research papers which I went through lately, even for this session, and got to know that there is some research paper for hallucinations also. I will leave the PDF in the drive link which I have just put in the comment box. So it is a request to all of you, those whoever is attending this, please hit the request access to the drive link what I have sent. Once the session is over, I will have all the requests in one go. I will give the access to all of them. With that said, we'll move to the discussion of hallucinations, and at the end, we will also discuss key if you were to build an AI system of your own using these LLMs, how to prevent hallucinations in that, and if you were the AI research engineer, or if you were the AI engineer who was building these models, okay, what could you possibly do to prevent hallucinations in the models, okay? And I will also tell you why you can't prevent hallucinations 100%. Okay, so with all the introduction, I hope that's more than enough. We'll move forward with the PPT. Once again, apologies for the PPTs. I am just too comfortable with the boring looking PPTs. I hope you will find it. I hope you will find it interesting. power. Okay, for that matter, now we have like 1 hour 10 minutes. What is hallucination? Okay, if I were to answer this question, what is hallucinations? Okay, I would not give you the context of LLMs or AI at this point. I would talk about ourselves, the something that we understand the most about ourselves, humans, right? Why do we hallucinate? We do we know that? Absolutely not. But do we have some examples of us hallucinating? A lot. Take summer in example, and you are driving, right? And then there is this mirage effect that we all know. Even we, in fact, we studied that in our, eighth standard, I believe, right? Where when the light passes through extreme change in the heat region, okay, the light bends, right? And that creates an illusion for us, right? What we see is not what exists. So when we are driving on a very hot road, we see water, right? When we they say that when you are in a deserted area, and you are lost, and now that you are thinking about that, you want water, and you will see water there, right? So that's the mirage effect, right? So you see water because of that heat difference, isn't it? One more example, when we study about light, the physics of light, right? All of us have studied that in the school time, and those who have moved forward with the physics, they have studied a lot about light. Okay, light is one of my the most favorite topic to be studied. Dip a pen in a glass of water, right? You know what happens? We see angular change. Okay, so it looks to us that the pen has right. This is one example with the external factor where our body is not at fault. Okay, say for example you have high fever. Okay, in that high fever you might think something which is not something that you wanted to. Okay, or if you are in half sleep, you might say something which you will never remember for the rest of the day, and your family will tell you that you spoke this in the morning, in the sleep. One very a lame thing happened a few days ago. I was very dead asleep. My sister came to me and she's like, Tanishk, wake up. And I just said to her that I'll kick her off. I'm a very peaceful guy. Genuinely speaking, I will never say something like that, right? And when I woke up, she was taunting me for that, for me saying that for the whole day. And now that I think about it, I can't even consciously say that, right? So we, as perfect human beings, if we were to call ourselves, right? We as mature adults, we as someone who has understood everything, we still hallucinate. So what wrong do these models do? Absolutely nothing that can go wrong. But these are created by us. These systems are created by us. And that's the pain that we ourselves don't know how it works. And this is said by the inventors, right? So let's still get into the details of what hallucination is caused by these models. Okay, so I have given you the hallucination examples in context of a human being. Let's understand what hallucinations. Okay, where does a model, AI model, hallucinate? So here are very few examples. So I believe for the sake of convenience and I guess experimenting. That's my general understanding is because like I meet like about 500 people every month, and I ask them this question. What is the application of AI? And for almost always the answer is ChatGPT, right? And then I ask them, what is the model? So these are college students now. The rack systems has been like coming, by embedded, where you can upload files and you can talk to those files. So summarizing the PDFs is what they do. Okay, but apart from that, they use it for general purpose, and like just for fun, and like this is a new thing. It is free to use, and let's why not use it, right? And the Instagram trends, because you can generate images. So why not just put 2 images like me and a dog, and now I'm holding the dog, right? So there are multiple Instagram trends where you can edit your photos and clothes and good makeup and without seeing GAN models. The generative models will do it for you. That's very very good. I mean, there's nothing wrong in that. But what's only wrong that what it generates, right? It can generate anything and it can generate information, okay, which is fair to say, right? Because it's after all thinking, and you can't control my thinking, isn't it? Like I can just sit like this, have my coffee, and start thinking that I'm walking on a sun. And you can't say that I'm wrong at this point because I have thought about it, right? And I'm very confident that that has happened. So I've said it, right? And AI is nothing different. It is generating, it is thinking. All the time it is thinking. It's just that the 95% base of what it's thinking is controlled by the data what we have showed it to, isn't it? So in a way, it is very much controlled with that. I'll also tell you, so you have at this point understood how LLMs work, but I'll give you a general perspective of how these work. Okay, that way you'll very clearly understand why is the reason why they actually hallucinate. There are a few examples over here. Sentence contradiction is what I would say. But before that, I have two images. There's this girl, a school girl. It's genre that is fine for us, but look at her hands. They are merged like these. Okay, they are not different. And when these kind of complexities comes, okay, even you can right now, you don't have to go anywhere. Just open your WhatsApp. There is Meta AI over there. It has image generation for free. Just put up some random prompt, but very small prompt. Okay, like generate an image of a guy who is 6 feet tall, wearing this clothes, and he's in this pose on standing next to a car. I don't know, something like that. There is a chance that it will hallucinate somewhere, and you can test it right now. Okay, and it will happen. In fact, these images were like generated like few days ago while I was like trying to figure out some models, and this is through Meta AI, right? So you can say that there's this horse, there's this guy, trying to ride the horse behind a Mustang car. That was the text. Now Mustang also goes for horse, Mustang also goes for the car. So it's a half car, half horse, and a guy sitting on that. And it is absolutely possible, as you can see, that in generation AI hallucinates, and this is absolutely visible to us directly because it's an image. Okay, we can process images much better, right? And every generation that happens through these AI models is through their imagination, right? Unlike machine learning where it is absolutely factual, AI is all about imagination, right? And there's no difference in only imagine it's only imagining, right? So what the biggest factor of hallucination, the biggest case of hallucination is its contradiction to what it is. Okay, that's exactly why every AI system, as you see, there is a disclaimer at the bottom of the application that AI may make mistakes, please cross check. Okay, something like that, they say, right? So the maximum probability of the model to hallucinate is where it contradicts to what it says. Okay, sentence contradiction is one thing I've written over here. So these are not something from Wikipedia. I just sat for a minute, thought about it, and just listed a few points. Okay, so you can find more points in the internet, or you can find some different or like proper terms for these points in internet. So feel free to do that, right? But here is my goal is to give you a general idea of where hallucinations exactly really happens, right? Sentence contradiction. The AI, we are talking to AI about a topic, say for example, I don't know, now here I'm in Chennai right now. So history of Chennai, right? And the AI has said that Chennai has the maximum amount of flyovers, right? And then I'm suddenly talking about flyovers of Mumbai. Now suddenly it changes its view on the flyovers of Chennai, and now it has changed its bias on, yeah, now Mumbai has more flyovers. So in the same sentence, it has changed a lot. I'll give you a different example, which is very, very, very realistic. In the very starting phase of when I was using Microsoft Copilot, now I see those hallucinations are reduced. But when I'm asking it a roadmap sort of a thing for machine learning, it is missing out so many topics. It is missing out so many topics. And when I say you missed this, right? It's like you are absolutely correct, right? And when I'm asking it like more topics, like what are the more variations, what are the more methods for this particular technique? For example, feature engineering. Feature engineering is a process when you data you prepare your data, engineer your data. Features is nothing but columns, right? So you engineer your data so that you give it to the model for training. And say for example, it listed 10 methods for me. Now I say, okay, if I ask it, what are there more method? It says yes. It puts some method. If I ask there are more, like if I do it 3 to 4 times, it is just trying to please me. So that's exactly what hallucination in the sense of sentence contradiction is. Now, prompt contradiction. If I say something, right? The other day, what happened is I uploaded 3 to 4 images, PDFs, and I was like, explain me everything. It did have the knowledge base of my, additionally given PDFs. So my expectation was a very simple prompt because I thought it would prioritize the PDFs first because I have given an extra, base to my question, isn't it? And I prompted, explain me everything. It is giving me answers like explaining everything is very difficult, but let's try. And now it is trying to explain me everything in the world, not in those PDFs. So this is prompt contradiction. It is reacting something other than what you just said. Now you will find a lot of neuroscience topics in AI. Okay, and if you do forget to give the base of I'm talking in the context of LLMs, I'm talking in the context of AI, it will give you biological, explanations. Like say for example, what is a neuron? Obviously, it will go to our nervous system. But what I was talking about, artificial neural networks, neuron, the NNs, right? That is the thing. Now there is a high probability, not high probability, because these there is a high chance that the models will be factually right. So it is not contradicting itself from the last sentence. It is not contradicting you for the prompt that you prompted, right? But the answer that it is generating for your in the return of your response for the question, right? That is incorrect. For example, Eiffel Tower is the most tourist attract is the biggest tourist attraction in Mumbai. You all know that Eiffel Tower is not in Mumbai, right? So these are factually incorrect errors. So I would like to call it as hallucination. I just came up with that word. Okay, so you can have your own, but the understanding is the same. Now, irrelevant sentence generation. This is again something to the contradiction, but here it is completely irrelevant, right? Now, say again like I forgot to give the base of my prompt where I am not very particular of what I'm asking, right? And now it is generating irrelevant answers. That is irrelevant sentence generation. Okay, and the most common use case is video because let's accept that even if you talk about Google and everything, relatively awesome, I would say, models like Nano Banana. It's the state of the art model, and I've been using it. It's good, but I do find hallucinations there also. And the examples are right in front of you. These are by Meta, by the way, right? Now, I would also like to take you to like just 10 minutes ago while we were waiting for you guys, I was having chat with DeepSeek. So let me share that screen. Let me just show you something, and it's very, very interesting. So this is the DeepSeek, right? Yeah. Conversation with it, right? Now, just see what I've written here, right? It's replying, right? This is DeepSeek model, okay? The model that I trust the most. That who speaks English and nice English at that must be maybe your cat says things like, so it is trying to imagine, right? I've given it a idea that my cat speaks nice English. So it speaks English and it actually speaks nice English. So there are three, crazy things that I've written here, right? Now, right after I do that, I'm asking, can cats speak? So if I were to do this 2 years ago, maybe, right? Maybe it would have said that, hey, you know what, cats speak, but it did handle it. Okay, that's a great and an interesting question. In the literal human language, they don't have a vocal cord. So when this question is quite ambiguous, right? Can cat speaks? Yes, it can speak. Obviously, two cats can have communication, right? It's a living thing. Secondly, it's a moving living object, right? Just not like a plant. So they have some modes of communication, right? Dogs bark, cats meow, right? So they do speak, right? But this DeepSeek model is very good at reasoning. That's exactly why I stick to DeepSeek. So it has performed its reasoning, and you can see that my deep think is turned off. So here, it has not thought about it specifically. So it has used its own internal reasoning capacity and it has given a camera cap to speak. So it has given a camera cap to speak. So it is saying and it has given a camera cap to speak. If that's what you mean, it is not going to happen, Tanishq. But when you say, do cats speak? So, however, cats are excellent communicators. They speak their own ways. So, how excellently it has understood vocalization. So they have wide range. Like I am a pet. I'm a pet parent. So I do know about these dogs a lot. At this point, I find myself that I can understand my dog. So those whoever have pets in their houses, they can relate to me at this point. It takes us a really really long time, but there is one common pattern in how these dogs bark. So this is my observation, um, and it is very phenomenal when I've figured it out. First of all, I was able to communicate with my dog. That is the biggest thing. The biggest achievement, that I'm able to understand dogs barking, how these dogs bark, right? What is their tone, right? What is their expression, their tail wagging and everything. They are extremely expressive than us. Okay, obviously someone who's a good communicator will have a good body language. Okay, they will have a clear tone of speaking, but apart from all of that, they are very good communicators. So in that sense, DeepSeek is saying yes, they communicate and they are excellent communicators. They have body language, they have behavior, and they have vocalization. They have wide range of meows, purrs, chirps, trills, hisses, and yawls. Interestingly, many experts believe the meow is a sound adult cats developed almost exclusively to communicate with humans, which is a great thing, isn't it? Right? So there is a lot that it is saying. So it did handle this question very nicely. And this is something I said it, right? So there was nothing for it to think differently. This is my fact, which I've said to the model. So there is nothing that he can say like, okay, it cannot happen. It is not another human being, right? It will not fight back with me. It will accept it, right? So it's a decent model. But things get interesting over here. I just came up with this. I'm a coffee lover, so I just came up with this YouTube channel name. Secondly, I did not write YouTube. I wrote YT, right? Who is the creator behind the YouTube channel, YT channel for that matter, Coffee Core? I don't know. Seriously, I don't know what is this channel. I just wrote the name just like that. It is saying the creator behind Coffee Core YouTube channel is a cat. Now you see things get interesting, isn't it? It is saying the Coffee Core YouTube channel creator is a cat. If you go to YouTube, I don't know where my YouTube is. YouTube. Okay. And if you search for Coffee Core, see, I just searched. So a little slow internet over there. Coffee recipe. Why the YouTube is hallucinating? Coffee Core, without space. That is the exact channel. So there are actually 3 different channels with this name, surprisingly. 13 subscribers, 647 subscribers, 30 subscribers. So obviously it's that these channels are not very popular, but let's go to all of them, right? Let's see the description of this guy. What does it say? A channel for coffee, talk, and mental peace, I guess, and metal. So these are guys, obviously. Obviously, the creator is not a cat, right? So these are like some music fanboys. Coffee core. So there is just like a hand symbol. So I believe it is something to like. Uh, Hi, welcome to Mini So Night Core. It is Night Core, not Coffee Core. I make neighbor night cores that I hope you'll enjoy. Please feel free to give me request and advice. So it's like a newbie, right? And it's more like anime going on over here, as you can see, right? And if I go to this channel, so at this point we all have lost hopes, and you can see that hello berries and welcome to my channel and fun and safe place to for entertainment and learning. So it's like an infotainment channel, and there's nothing related to cats in all three channels. And let's go back to DeepSeek, and it is confidently saying that, you know, she is a popular content creator, known for her cozy aesthetic and often study work focused videos in the cozy gaming and study with me niches. So neither did we find study with me niche, neither did we find gaming niche. We did see metal, we did see some fashion going on over there, and then we saw some anime, right? It was more like creating some edited videos of existing songs or metal songs, and other stuff. But we did not see anything related to gaming, for that matter. And secondly, we did not see cat at all, right? Real name also, it is saying real name, she generally goes by cat online. It is completely making up. Second of all, the most important thing, the most interesting thing over here is that it is giving me link to her channel. So if you click on this YouTube Coffee Core, it is actually taking me back to a channel that it thinks that it exists. What is this, right? It's crazy how these things work. So if you go to videos, there is no cat here and there. Nothing. If you go to the description, if you think that it has scraped the description, what is a Coffee Core? Coffee Core is a YouTube channel for music editing agency made by a Finnish person who likes a lot of coffee and music and video games. So okay, some video game is there. Coffee Core does nightcore music, bass. Okay, I do not need explanation. Please go off. So few AI things are very very annoying. Go off, please. Okay, yeah. So it can do
Sir, you are not audible.
Hello. Hello, sir.
I think sir is not audible.
I think there is a network problem.
Network issue, I think so, ma'am.
Just wait for a few minutes, ma'am. We'll resume back. No?
I thought I am having a network issue. That's why I asked.
No, 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 no. Maybe it's
Maybe some glitches, madam. We'll see. We'll wait for 2 minutes. Sir, your mic is muted, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, extremely sorry. What's the last part? What's the last part that you guys heard? So I did see the internet messages though, but I thought it's going on, so let's continue speaking. What is the last part? Did you hear from me? Can anyone say what was the last audible part of mine? All right.
explain the code of that PP screen, I think.
Okay, okay. So I
Yeah.
was talking. Yeah, so I was sharing the DeepSeek
Yeah,
part, right? Right,
that
right,
was
right. Awesome,
explaining that
awesome.
code.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that is just the chat which I had with DeepSeek model, and it was hallucinating there. So yes, I made it hallucinate. Right now, I hope you can see the screen as well. Now we were talking about the why part, right? So let's get into the detail of the why. Now let's take two perspectives. One is the model's mistake, and one is our mistake, right? So in terms of like I started our discussion with the human example, right? So how would you put these two situations in our example? Okay, the model is us and the user is the environment, right? So me and you us being hallucinating, okay, there are only two factors, right? The environment is that way, the science is going on, the physics is going on, right? So the pen inside the water, a cup of water, right, and the mirage effect, right? So the environment could be one reason. It is not us at fault, or secondly, it could be us at fault, like half sleep, fever, or something, right, or dizziness, like that. So the same perspective goes on over here also. A model could
Sorry to
be
interrupt,
at fault.
but we are not able to see
Yeah,
the screen.
I am sharing the screen. For me, it shows that I am sharing the screen.
We are,
It is
Other
visible.
folks, can you confirm? For me, it
it's
is showing
audible,
that.
but see, no, we are not able to see the screen.
It's
Okay.
No, ma'am.
visible, ma'am. I can see.
Yeah,
No, ma'am.
exactly.
I can see, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, it's visible. The screen is visible.
Okay.
It is
Maybe
visible.
you
It's
have to.
visible.
Yeah, maybe you have to switch the tabs, and it must be somewhere. The screen share must be going on somewhere else.
Okay, let me try.
No, sir, yours is correct, sir. It's visible.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Okay, ma'am, you'll find it. Maybe you just have to like lock through the tabs. My screen share, the window must be somewhere
No,
else.
sure, sure. I'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
just.
All right. So the why part is that the same context we can put over here also, right? So the thing is the data quality, right? So how we study things, okay, is something that affects upon what we are, right? So if you give me biased notes on machine learning, if I were to talk about two people, and if you talk very nicely about one guy, and you keep on telling me faulty statements about the another one, I'll obviously switch my opinion, right? So this is the hallucinations in my reasoning, right? And the same thing goes on over here also. The data quality really really matters, right? So a few days ago, I guess day before yesterday, we had a session on fine tuning, LLM fine tuning, right? Some gentleman had asked the question about what kind of data set is required, what is the data format required, right? And in fact, even when we worked upon it, right, so I had made a question answer relationship data set in the JSON format, right? So that is the complete idea about the data quality over here, right? The generation method is something I'll talk in detail about, because this is something that you have studied in the past few days, right? This is directly correlated to the architecture of the model, okay? And these are the hyperparameters, right? Hyperparameters are nothing but, so if you go back to my fine tuning session, right, I was teaching you how to fine tune a model using unsloth model, okay? And if you remember, there was a trainer class of object that we created, and inside that there were multiple parameters, right? So I had asked you to go use Gemini code explainer inside the Colab for you to see the meaning of those parameters, and few parameters I myself explained. So those parameters, they control how this model generates the response. So what is the end goal? The model is generating the text, right? And that text is hallucinating. So it's a mathematical model, right? Every AI is basically a mathematical model, f of x, right? Which is basically in the format of y equals to f of x, right? So you get an input, and this model does something and it gives output, right? Now I will give a very clear idea. Okay. So all of you be with me for next 1 minute. Imagine you have a parrot in your house. Okay. So this parrot is a naive, innocent animal, right? A bird for that matter, right? And you know that parrots can kind of speak a few words. What does it speak? For what you speak in front of him, isn't it? So we have parrots of two different houses. A house which is polite, respectful, peaceful, right? And they respect when when they speak, right? So this parrot learns that, okay? Now when someone else comes, right, and they say, "What are you?" Okay, so this parrot completes the sentence, doing at this point. It is late. Please go ahead and sleep. Rest is important. Just hypothetically speaking, right? So this is the environmental effect on that parrot. Now now take a situation where this parrot resides in a family, in a house where they use little abusive words. People are little short tempered. They get angry at stuff. Okay, they fight, right? Probably someone drinks and says some stuff, right? You don't know, right? Just the imagination is yours. So this is the environment this parrot is living there. Okay, so if you talk now, you are, right? So this parrot will complete a stupid person, right? But whereas if you go to the same parrot, okay, like parrot is a model, right? Just trained on two different data sets, two different families, right? So if you say the same sentence to a parrot of the decent family, and if you say you are, he's gonna say a beautiful person, right? So here is a clear difference, okay? And this is exactly how these models work. They are text predictors. Okay, these LLMs are basically they predict text. Text means basically tokens, words. They predict one after one word, right? So it is just that. It is just that. Okay, so whatever it has seen, okay, it text it basically predicts the next word according to that, right? So the very simple example is small language model, right? Which is your keyboard. Now just open your keyboard right now and type anything, and then just keep on clicking on the next prediction, and at the end of the day you'll come up with the sentence, a paragraph, right? And obviously that will be very absurd. Okay, luckily it will be making sense, but most of the times it will not make sense, right? Now they just came up with Markov chains. Okay, so it is a very big Bayesian statistics thing. Okay, and that's why you can see the topic of maximum likelihood of the next word to be coming over here. So this is the idea of Markov chains. Okay, and the sampling sets are there, and estimate of reinforcement learning are the other parameters. Okay, this is what generates the next word of what the model thinks to be. Now, this probability is totally based on what it sees. That's exactly why data quality and generation method goes hand in hand. This is exactly where the mistakes could go wrong. Okay, and this is where the trade-off generated by those methods I have written that way, right? So, what is the trade-off of me talking about absurd language over decent praise or to someone, right? So that is there. Input context. Obviously, now DeepSeek is a good model, right? But I made it hallucinate by talking about cats first. So prompting is also one way method, right? One way that we can make them hallucinate, right? And the two things are like again ambiguity in prompts, right? So when I say teach me everything, it was obviously an ambiguous prompt, like it did not have a base of anything. So if I had said, right, teach me everything about AI, it would have been totally different, right? So that's another thing. And secondly, this is a little technical of a lack of fine tuning. So you have to it is recommended for before you send the model, you fine tune it, right? So if you say grok, okay, since the owner of grok is also the owner of Twitter, okay, so it had all the conversations on Twitter, and you know how polite conversations are on Twitter. You see the true nature of Twitter conversations was actually carry forwarded in the grok. So this is the only AI model which is slightly unethical. But if you see, that is the true human representation of us, right? Because let's accept the fact that even if we use abusive words, okay, we cannot directly say they are unethical. They are just unprofessional, to be really honest. It is just the way how we react to the situations, isn't it? And it is realistic for many of the people who talks in a way. So just imagine a guy, right, who is always formal. You will not find a vibe with him, but some or the other random words here and there, some local language if he uses, some absurd words here and there, that sounds kind of familiar. So that was the intention behind the grok training, because it is fine tuned that way. So the communication factor is fine tuned that way, right? So that is the idea, right? Now, how to reduce hallucinations, right? So we have some idea over here, okay, and we'll talk about the parameters first, okay? So the hyperparameters which I was talking about, right? The autoregressive objects, attention mechanism, right? The attention layer that you studied, okay? Error propagation. So this is the technical part, okay? And the temperature sampling and exposure bias gap. Detailed. Let's go through the details of these 5 items, okay? Now, when you talk about autoregressive objects, right? Basically, LLMs are autoregressive generators. So I just gave you the parrot example, right? So when you have the sentence like you are, so what could come next? Oh, very. Okay, what comes after very? Okay, what comes after very? An adjective, right? Beautiful. What goes with beautiful always? A flower, a car, a woman, right? Whatever. So this is exactly how an LLM works. right? This is exactly how an LLM works, okay? And this is what you call as auto regression, right? So as you can see that I have just copied this from Wikipedia. So as you can see that LLMs are auto regressive. They're auto regressive, meaning they generate one token at a time. So it is basically generating this thing, right? So those who know statistic over here very well, the Markov chains is exactly this, right? Irrespective of the likelihood, okay, what would come after a given sentence, right? So you can train it on vowels, the linguistics of the language, the training data. Obviously, that's a totally different thing, but it is predicting every word. It is not literally generating the the message. So the generative part, you have to get the idea, okay? It is not how we think about LLMs. LLMs are nothing but simple prediction models only. They are still doing prediction, okay? So if you see the basic base of AI, what can you do in AI? You can automate scripts using normal coding. So no AI required in that of our sense, what we think, but that is also AI, like scripting. And if you talk about the AI that we are interested in knowing about, you can pretty much do only three tasks, okay? You can do clustering, which means that without having an idea, you can group the likely data, okay? You can classify basis on the classes that you already know, and you can do prediction, which is regression, right? You can do regression, or you call it forecasting. You can predict the next price of the stock. You can predict the price of car after 2 years of resale, right? You can predict the price of gold tomorrow. And same thing is happening here also. It is just that it is a large language model. Okay, so if you study the base of large language model, they are coming from recurrent neural networks, and there is a problem of state over there. The memory efficiency is not there, okay, and the relevance of the data is not there. That's why we had to come up with attention mechanism, and that's what I've talked here about. Now, you know what attention mechanism is at this point. You have some general idea. So let me draw using my all drawing skills. Let me come up with something. So this is your 3D space, isn't it? This is your 3D space, right? So this is your Z, this is your X, this is your Y, right? Now you have the vectors, okay? So every representation of a word is through a vector, isn't it? So you have vector of a man, say for example, royal, okay? Right, because the cosine similarity is it's big, it's more, right? So if you text something like that, okay, and the cosine similarity of words is what matter. The meaning, actually we try to capture the meaning through this method, but does it mean that the AI really understands the meaning of it? Absolutely not. It is just that our way that we have thought ki, okay, this way it may understand the semantic meaning is what we try to attempt, but it is never possible at this point ki they have really understood the meaning of this, right? Obviously reasoning is something that we have worked a lot upon, and that's why DeepSeek could tell very well that do cats speak. So it performed its own internal reasoning of, in the context of me expecting to a cat speak like a human, and then a cat as an actual animal speaking to another cat. Okay, so that is there. So, and if you see that entire paragraph was actually a prediction, okay, on the basis of paragraph which was trained on it, right? So if I create a data set of conversations of me and my friends in my office, right? So we can say that the students were very good today, right? The session was awesome, right? Whatsoever, right? Now on this data, if I fine tune my model, right? So it feel like a colleague to me, and especially the colleagues of my nature and the office culture that we follow, right? So if you take the camera recordings, right? So if you, yeah, you can do that actually, right? All you have to do is, if your camera, office camera, if it has the recording feature, audio recording feature, so you can download that recording part alone, all free tools are available. Audio to text is there. Now text, you clean it a little bit up, create a PDF about it, and I have already taught you how to perform fine tuning. So just perform fine tuning. You will end up having an avatar of your own. So you can play with this attention parameter. In transformers, attention computes relationship between tokens, enabling context-aware prediction. So context awareness is nothing of its own idea, but it's just the distance between the vectors. So it's all maths out there, right? And right. So a few days ago, I wrote a LinkedIn post of steering an LLM. So right, what is steering an LLM, right? You can change the behavior of what it thinks, right? So say for example, this LLM is about to say, you okay, or like Mumbai has many pharma companies. Okay, so this is, say for example, the prompt that it might have generated without you steering it, right? So steering means what? The car. So my car is supposed to go straight. I steer it, right? So the changing of direction, the change of behavior is what steering is, right? So that's the exact same concept here also. So this is coming straight from neuroscience, where you can actually steer a human brain. And when I got to know about it, I was like mind blown. So you have attention layers, right? Now think of every attention layer as a function, right? And over here, you can think of it like a vector. I'm representing it by a delta. Okay. Now what you do is you just add a dot product of another your own vector of what you think. So, and this vector could be anything. You can call it injection, right? So before this vector is passed by this layer to another attention layer, right? What you do is you manipulate it. Now think about it like this, right? So say for example, this is, I don't know, Nepal border. Okay, this is Nepal, this is India. You know, they are border neighbors, right? Okay, and a lorry is supposed to come from this straight route, right? A truck is coming, right? The truck loaded chocolates, right? And in this border, without us knowing that we will know the India part, they will know the Nepal part. What happens in the border, border is black box to us. So over here, you just add some, I don't know, cold drinks to it. Okay, now the lorry comes over here with chocolates as well as cold drinks. Now the model has a lot to think about. So it can find the cosine similarity. Now it is biased, right? So now it can say Mumbai has many, for example, automobile companies, because I influenced it with the automobile data. It is possible, right? So now this is a straight awareness talk that what these models really are. They are not human replicas. We should stop thinking about them like that way, right? They are just predictors, not predators. Okay, it's just a prediction model. It predicts the next word token by token, right? Token by token. Now for someone who is into programming over here, right? So we have generated a lot of so when I work on prototyping, right, I use AI a lot, right? I use AI a lot. So when it generates some sort of a website for me, right, you will obviously find some divs going out of the chart. Okay, some buttons overlapping on another channels. It happens a lot. This is also a part of hallucination, right? Because it thought some little bit HTML CSS knowledge is required over here. So it thought that the padding value of this is, suppose if 1 rem, right? So the best padding for this gap would be 0.5 rem, but hypothetically it was supposed to be 2 rem, right? So the div later would have looked like this. This is the actual idea, like sophisticated button here, card here, right? But it hallucinated and it overlapped the card on top of the button. Hallucination, right? So this is the idea over here, right? So that is the attention parameter, right? The error propagation, okay? Mistakes made early in generation can cascade forward, right? Since each new token depends upon the prior ones. This is exactly, so I would really want you to, read statistics books, which talks about I guess, chains. Okay, so this is where it all started actually, and dig into little bit of Bayesian statistics. It really takes the idea to the next level of what can we do with the data. So this is great, okay, but all it does at the end of the day is predicts the next word, right? So that is the idea. Okay, so this is actually a word, right? And if the previous words are that way, it will definitely affect the next word, right? So if you have already a sentence that goes this way, okay, in a car, okay, or the car was driven by a dog, and then the you see the mistake over here is the car cannot be driven by a dog, right? But since there is an influence of this, and since the model has been trained on the linguistics of the model, the sentence formation, so that part is considered over here, then we will definitely take this consideration forward also, further on also, right? So if I were to go with a different one, right? So now if it was to continue after this point, so at this point it has made mistakes, and as written over here, it will cascade further, right? So the car was driven by a dog, and then the dog uh, started, I don't know, drifting the car. Now you see it is talking absolute nonsense, right? So now it is in its own world of imagination, right? So the car is driving, so a car is driven by a dog, okay, which was already beyond our expectation. Now now the dog is performing drifts also, so it is doing some stunts in the car. Okay, so this is the error propagation part, right? One, okay, or you have not been satisfied this one chat, it is always recommended to open another new chat, right? This is the reason why. This is the reason why, because there is a concept of memory. Okay, there's a concept of memory inside the chatbots that you use. So the chat GPT is an application that uses GPT model. Okay, so GPT is still predicting the next word, but it's just that your chat is now given to the next word prediction as a context. So now your next word prediction is influenced by what you spoke earlier. So that is also there. So that's why if you keep on talking nuances about some absurd things and or like ambiguous things, okay, now it is going to affect whatever is going to happen later, right? So this is a big reason why the LLMs hallucinate. One more reason is the temperature sampling. So please go back to the recording, probably if you have, or the notes of my fine tuning session. Okay, over there I have given a lot of parameters. One of those parameters is the temperature parameter. Temperature parameter is straight away related to the randomness of the model's text generation ability. Okay, so it is very important, to be honest. Okay, so if you remember, if you were to use MS Copilot, actually I forgot, let me just see right now. So when I open Microsoft Copilot right now, all you have to do is Alt space. So right now all of you are, I assume, using laptop, just hit Alt space. And if you're running Windows, obviously it is right there in you. So it is saying, good afternoon, Tanesh, what can I do for you? Blah, 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 blah. So it is saying some generate an image, make a plan on everything, right? So initially, if you remember, there were few modes to use MS Copilot. Okay, written here. So there was creative mode. There was, I believe, a more serious, or I don't know I don't remember the name of the three modes, but there were three modes, okay? And one of the mode was creative. Now that I know how to perform fine tuning, now I understand the reason why it is able to be creative, because the temperature value is very high. Okay, what is temperature exactly? A parameter controlling randomness in token selection during generation. So the cosine similarity that we worry the most about, right? So when we find the most likelihood, right? When we go with higher probabilities, we stick to the facts. We stick to the truth. We stick to the factual errors are basically taken off, right? So if I'm talking about World War II, right? And if I talk about Hitler, okay, now I will have a lot of Germany context. This is being precise. Okay, now being creative, what it would look like. Okay, being creative, what it would look like. Hitler was a musician, right? He would love people a lot, right? Now you see there, this is temperature. Okay, so it is hallucinating in a way, but in a controlled way, right? It is trying to be creative. What is creativity? Creativity is beyond what you already see, right? So when you go beyond out of the box, right? So you have to go out of the cosine value. So this is the little mathematical way of how we can think of creativity in LLM models, right? So that is the temperature idea. Okay. One more thing is exposure bias gap. Okay. So if you see during training, models see ground truth. Okay. Sequences. So as I said, the example of conversation data. Okay. Conversation data. So if one guy says me, hi. So the another guy replies, okay. The opponent. I'll just write OP opponent to be GM sir. Okay, it's good morning, sir. Okay, so here is talking to a student. Okay, so hypothetically, now if fine tune our LLM on this kind of conversational data, and if you ask it to create stories of two lovers, two couples, that will sound like a formal communication between two colleagues, isn't it? Think about it. So that is the idea here. Okay, during training, models see ground truth sequences. During inference, they rely on their own predictions. Okay, this mismatch, the training versus generation, can cause compounding errors and degraded quality. So it is going to go with its own probabilistic prediction of the next word, right? But then this thing, right, it is going to contradict this training data. So that is why the exposure of the bias gap, that is what matters the most here. Okay, we were talking about the hyperparameters at this point, so I hope you have a good idea, right? Now let's talk about how to reduce hallucination. Okay, how to reduce hallucination, right? So over here, as you can see that accurate prompting is very good, very recommended. So instead of just saying explain me history of 1990, sorry, 19, what year was it, 52, you can just say a specific event, country, people, maybe timestamp, like year, which you have already done, right? So many additional ideas if you add, this is going to improve the quality of your prompt. That's why they say copy my prompts, take this prompt, take that prompt. It is great. Okay, it is important for your LLM to not hallucinate. But over the time, these people have worked so much on getting the idea of what you speak. Okay, taking the feedbacks of the previous conversations and retraining these LLMs on the conversation that has already happened. It has become so good now that it tries to understand a lot what you say. But obviously, if you are too ambiguous about the prompt that you have, we can't expect this to be very accurate, because hey, even you can't do that, right? So if I say you talk about cars, and my expectations are, the thing is like, I guess someone's mic is on, right? So if my expectations are, the retro cars, and you're talking about Ferraris and of the modern time, okay, so that is going to contradict my expectation. So obviously detailed prompting is accurate prompting is very, very important. Okay, active mitigation, playing with the hyperparameters, as I said in the fine tuning. Okay, multi-shot prompting. So you have a prompt, detailed one. Okay, plus you have example. Plus you have example too. Okay, create a story about a parrot and a pirate. I don't know, right? So it's a good idea. Try about it, right? So create a story about a parrot and a pirate, right? So you put some examples, right? So the relationship of a parrot with a pirate is like this. Okay, some example there. Okay, another example of a scenario. What kind of a pirate I'm expecting? Okay, so he's kind of like a Zorro guy, right? So he loots from the big sailors and big pirates and gives it back to the people of island Andaman. I don't know, right? So that is how you can write your detailed prompt. So it takes time, but in one shot you will get a big better answer, right? And use relevant data sets. So if you were to work in an IT company, okay, and if you are performing even full fine tuning, okay, so I hope you have an idea about full fine tuning, what I mean over here, over LoRa and Quora. So even if you're performing full fine tuning, it is better if you take the example of all the DevOps related, SaaS related, and probably the websites which were built only on React and Angular. I don't know how many people are familiar with this Lovable. So Lovable is a AI tool which is free to use with some tokens, and it creates websites and applications for you with a database integrated. But if you see, if you ask it to create a Django based application, because I'm a software developer too, and I use a tech stack of Python based development, because hey, I'm in the field of AI and I'm coming from a non-IT background. So I did not focus much on Java and JavaScript. Though I know basics of JavaScript for the web development and the SaaS development, but I am not very comfortable with Angular and other frameworks of Node.js and everything. I am very familiar with Django, Python, fast APIs for building APIs and everything. So I want the Python familiar, tech stack, and it is not at all good on that. Secondly, it is not at all recommended to create applications with using this tech stack. So for you, someone who doesn't understand, the development point of view of things, all you care about is the output. But for someone who is a developer who is going to take that as a prototype and give it to the people and build it further, right? It is very important for me to work within the same tech stack, because the setup has to be there. The environment variables has to be set up. The architecture of the React differs from Django, right? Components, source files, and everything, right? So the entire setup changes over here, right? So bit of a software development perspective, but you get the idea, right? Even in your research perspective, say for example you're researching about something, and the model is based on the automobile research. So if you want to study about fuels, calorific value, the what other values are there with the fuels, um the the burning rate, what is the value for that? I remember the temperature points, some points are there now at which point the fuel starts burning. So there is a specific name for that. So all of these values, okay, compression rates are there, all of that, right? The octane number is there for a fuel. Okay, so all of these chemical parameters are there, isn't it? So a model is good for that. So it's great that you study about it, but now you want to study about soil fertility, the minerals active. So if you are in agriculture field, what will you do with that data? Do you care about the burning point? Do you care about the evaporation point? No, the soil is not going to evaporate. All you care about is the mineral quality. You care about the chemical nature. You care about the capability of the soil to hold water. In that case, your agricultural data is the model is not at all accurate. So use relevant data sets. So even if it is developing a website, okay, even if it is doing a research in what, that matters a lot. Okay, so that is the idea here, to use to reduce the hallucinations. Okay, but the discussion doesn't end here, right? Because what you see is the hallucination in the application that you use. Lovable was an example where you generate websites and it makes mistakes. Chat GPT is an application which uses GPT-4. Okay, so the applications is where the things are going on, right? So there are other fixes, use fine tuning. So it is great that you are using GPT-5. I don't like OpenAI models at all. So let's go with something that I like. Let's say you are using Claude, uh, Opus 4.2. Awesome model. Very brilliant model. Fabulous model. You're using DeepSeek R2. Fabulous model for reasoning. I use it every day. Right. So my life revolves around these two models. Right. So they are great. Yeah. Okay. They are great. But you can fine tune them further on for the, okay, now Claude, if I'm using, if I'm working on, digital marketing, Claude is is the on the go, AI model for you, for content generation. So if you want to write scripts, if you want to write some creative scripts, okay, so Claude is the part for you. Secondly, if you want to work on development part, Claude is the on the go model for you. But it is little expensive. So everything which is great and expensive, there is a Chinese alternative for that, which is relatively better and free. So DeepSeek is that guy. Okay, we have to accept it at this point, right? DeepSeek has a much longer input token context window, and secondly the output context token window also. Okay, so that is also there. Output token window is there, right? So and its reasoning is much better. Like I showed you, like do cats speak, so it give me answer in two perspectives. Okay, so it's great that you download the freer versions of them, perform fine tuning like how I taught you on whatsoever the data that you have, and you will be having much better responses. And I would really want you to go through the session again and experiment a lot with fine tuning and play with the parameter values. At this point, it is not recommended for you to much deeper into it. Just experiment. I put temperature value as 0.78. Fine tune the model. See the output. Put the temperature value 0.34. Fine tune the model. See the output. Right. So it is all about that. Right. Invest in a good laptop. Get a laptop with a nice GPU. So I am running my Dell G16. It has an NVIDIA GPU of 8 GB RAM. It is a 3080 GPU, and it is running high performance gaming core. So get laptops of this sort if you are really into this, right? This will really help you a lot. It will change the entire game of how you fine tune the models, learn how to work with data, right? Because there is a lot of there are a lot of libraries available to get these things for you. So you saw, right, the code was actually very short. The explanation took half an hour, but the code was very short once you understand, right? So good libraries are there. Python is there, very easy to understand and everything. But preparing the data for that, this is the biggest headache of an AI engineer. So you spend 80% of the time always working on the data. Okay, only 5% of the time building the model, 15% of the time to monitor and maintain the model. That is the entire idea over here. At this point, the hallucination side doesn't stop there. There are more places where the hallucinations could happen, which is the AI based system, right? So as I said, if you were to build an AI exam evaluator. Now, as I'm aware that my audience over here, 93 people are there, and most of your faculties, okay, I would really suggest you to get some more interest in fine tuning and you know scan the question papers which you already have, okay, and the answer sheets, okay, and create a proper data set, okay, and that data set you either put it in chunks or you provide it as it is, or you use the doc loader. So let me agree at this point. Though there are very good libraries and everything, it is little tedious. The learning curve is little high, but there are libraries like LangChain and LangGraph. So it is the the next version of LangChain, LangGraph. Learn these two libraries very properly. Okay, so there you have the document loader where you can load documents in multiple ways and fine tune your model on examining the data. Trust me, the result is going to be awesome. You are going to build an AI examiner, literally. So you can say, you can save a lot of time in creating tougher question papers for your students, right? So that's the idea, right? So over here also there is a chance of hallucinations. So you have to be really really careful with those hyperparameters, which whatever I explained you. And I just took 5 examples because the limitation of time, there is a lot more, right? And the knowledge based system that you use, so use proper vector databases rather than using your Postgre. Use vector databases, right? Even if you were to use a SQL database, use Cassandra or something, right? And over there, actually Postgres is not that bad, but for knowledge based systems, vector DB is what we use, and it is directly you know, what do you say, compatible with langchain. Okay, so go with that part, right? And use a proper knowledge based system with proper vectors of vectorized embeddings of your data, your knowledge, and this way you can prevent hallucinations, right? Or else you can find hallucinations there also. So that is the complete idea of hallucinations in AI and LLMs. Okay, in the context of building a system, using an existing system, the model by itself, the application by itself. We do have some time. It was a very simple topic. It's just that a lot of examples were needed. So if you have any doubts for next 7 minutes, I'm taking all the questions. So I guess someone is trying to speak, but not audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm taking questions at this point. I'm taking doubts and everything. Or if there's something that you have not understood, let's re-discuss that. Else, I'm good to wind up my part.
Any questions from the participants?
Thank you. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much.
sparing your valuable time with us. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Pleasure is mine. So the drive link is shared. The research paper on hallucinations I will drop inside the drive link. So all of you, those who did not receive the drive access at the last, those who did not receive the link is here. Just hit on it, request access, and in one go I'll approve access for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. For the next session, let's wait for a few minutes until our speaker joins the session. It starts sharp at 7:30.